I recognize the pride of Oklahoma, Mr. Josh Brecheen, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sincerely, I'm going to say this to the chairman of this committee, to friend from West Texas. I am grateful to serve on a committee with someone that is in their heart of hearts so passionate about this and creating the space, even with all the pushback that you've been receiving this past year. It's like Paul Revere, the British are coming, and you're so passionate riding the horse to say that bankruptcy is coming. So I just want you to know how grateful I am that you've continued to lean in. And man, it's just, if everyone in this body would just speak truth from their heart, it would be a game changer. There is truth to be found, on both sides of this. There's people that operate in hypocrisy on both sides of the aisle. And, I dropped the mic on what Chip Roy said. You all knew, how do you argue with what Chip was saying earlier? I appreciate Jimmy Panetta, in his response. I'm not trying to imply Jimmy agreed with everything that Chip said, but we all know everybody is guilty. I want to share something. I hope some of you on the panel, to the Democrat witness, I hope this, do you like Thomas Jefferson? Is Thomas Jefferson a fan? Are you a fan of him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So let me give you a part of a letter he wrote. He's in public life, and he's really resting. He really was didn't even want these comments to go public. He even said that in this letter. And he said, private fortunes are destroyed by public extravagance. And the tendency is for all human governments, a departure from principle in one instance, till the bulk of society is reduced to ... Suffering then begins indeed the bellum omnium in omnia, what he calls the abusive state of man. And the forehorse of this frightful team is public debt. Taxation follows that, and in its train is wretchedness and oppression. Thomas Jefferson talked about public waste draining private fortunes. Was he trying to protect the wealthy elite? Thomas Jefferson was saying there's always a tendency for human governments to want to pilfer money taken from the people. It's why up until 1913, we actually had parity and true equality in our tax code. We operated 200 years of governance with that nice little provision up until 1913, the 16th Amendment, where that word was removed so we could put in these graduated tax brackets, now 7 different graduated tax brackets. And again, to Chip Roy's point, even if 36% moves to, 2 points upward, it's only $35 billion, and we are arguing over that when we have a $2 trillion chasm. The greater conversation that has to happen here is if we don't get serious about reducing spending, bringing true fairness, not the gospel of envy in the tax code, then we're headed towards a collapse. People hear these conversations, why should you care? I remember a few years ago, whether it be sitting in a semi-truck or on a dozer or an excavator, why should I care? Even with training and mentorship under Tom Coburn, so busy trying to make a business, why should I care? Well, I'll tell you why you should care. Because interest rates, who can afford a home now? In 2017, this governing body was paying $250 billion at 1% interest rate on the government debt, and now we're at 4.3%. And we're paying almost $1 trillion, similar debt load, but interest is kicking our tail. It's why you could have borrowed money on a 30-year mortgage and reduced it a few years ago to a 15-year mortgage, as I had a friend do, and you afford the same home, and you just cut the years you're paying on that interest rate in half. This all ties together because what the government, the culture of debt is wealth, is ruining financial underpinning for families across this country. Why should you care? Because your private fortunes are being destroyed by government extravagance. And so I'm going to go to you, Paul Winfrey. You said something earlier in your testimony today about Greek-like future. We are headed in 10 years where our $36 trillion gross national debt turns into $60 trillion, 59. We are headed in 10 years to where instead of it being $2 trillion, we're headed towards $3 trillion annual deficits. That same 10-year time period says the insolvency for Social Security and Medicare is upon us. You said we're running out of fiscal space. The forehorse of this frightful team is public debt. Taxation follows that, and this train is wretchedness and oppression. Greeks, when they hit a sovereign debt crisis, did a 50% tax burden on individuals and corporations, and it led to 100,000 bankruptcies. Would you please tell us why we should really care about the pain that is ahead if we don't get serious about rectifying outlays and spending?
We're at a period right now where we are eroding fiscal space pretty quickly. If we don't do something about that, then the markets will demand a correction. And when the markets demand a correction, just like you said what happened in Greece, the correction will be large. To speak to Jefferson, just for two seconds, you're exactly right. Thomas Jefferson believed that all public debt should be retired every 20 years, all public debt. Alexander Hamilton thought, he was a bit more expansionary. He thought that all public debt should be retired every 35 years, right? But we're not in the position right now where we're even talking about retiring public debt. We're just talking about bringing down the deficits that allows us to continue to grow fiscal space. That's what we're talking about right now.